So Heather and I were just about to do our Creators Journey debrief today because we have Creators Journey this morning. Then I drop off and she's with the group doing sharing, and then I go to Master Circle, and then um, you organize them into breakout rooms, Heather,
Yeah.
and then we don't, I'm busy, so until a couple hours later. So as soon as I have the space and time, I call you up and I'll be like, "How was it? How did it go after I left?"
Oh,
It's such a hard thing for me to leave and to
yeah,
not just stay there and keep being in conversation. It's the same experience at our events. Like, as you know, like I just want to keep talking to everybody,
I
but I
know.
also know that it's good for them to talk as well.
Uh-huh.
It's good to, for them to share. And so we have that. And then it's also good for them to like talk amongst themselves, like not even have me be present, have them go away and practice what they're learning in the conversation. So I know that despite wanting to just talk and be there the whole time, it's good for me to step away. But then I'm always like, hey, what happened? So
Then we need an update. So,
yeah.
well, you had two amazing conversations today, as always. And yeah, it is so I've never seen another program do this where the main person leaves and then we get to talk about you. You go
Yeah,
away and we get to
by
talk about
design.
you. Yeah, right. Who
That's
you were
so
being.
important.
Yeah, it's really a special opportunity that you're giving everyone um to focus on like watching a master and then what did I learn from watching them be in conversation. Like I haven't seen that as a structural part of a program before, and I think that's really,
Yeah, thank you.
really cool. Oh, I lost a JP. Oh, he's gone. Maybe he'll come back in a minute. Well, now that I have, let's see, I'll let him back in when he comes. I wanted to share a bit about Creator's Journey. We've shared so much of the structure. I'll give a little recap. It's a year-long program, and when JP and I designed it, we wanted to include every part that was essential, that would make the shift that we were looking for people to make, that we know is possible inside this work, from coping with life to really being a powerful creator in your life, making it inevitable. And so inside the program is weekly calls for a year. You get this amazing, beautiful community of support. We really focus on encouraging each other on a daily basis inside, the Mighty Networks community. We do our creators logs, which is a place to log where when you've done your creating practices. And then you get JP's full library of courses broken down. He picks out the most important videos and puts them in this 30-unit curriculum. So that's the important part, the important pieces of the program. But we wanted to come on today, and hopefully he'll come back. If not, I just get to talk and tell you about the shifts that we're seeing. Like, we knew that when we designed this program, we were taking the best pieces of all JP's work. Like when I went and supported him in doing the events he was doing, we watched the parts where people were really transformed, the structure that we put into the live call every week of being in conversation with JP and then talking about the conversation we just had and then meeting with a peer to apply it to your life right now. Like, this program is so special because you learn these practices and you learn these lenses, the most empowering and enlightening lenses that I've ever learned through which to view the world. And you can't leave without applying them to your life. Like, so much of personal development is kind of an infotainment situation where we'll come and we'll like learn a thing and we're like, oh, that's really cool, or we'll feel like we had a breakthrough. But it's a different story when you apply it to your life right away. And so we wanted to share today, come on and share like the amazing, amazing shifts that we're seeing in people. This is such a special space where people are sharing pretty freely. People are talking about discovering a level of happiness that they haven't um, ever experienced before. Oh, we'll see if he comes. Um, People are talking about, oh, here he comes. He's, he's
Hello?
back. I got to talk for a little while.
I'm
So
looking for the connection.
you did it. You
I,
found it
I
again.
I guess if I walk down my steps, it disconnects. So
It's
thanks
pretty
for
fun.
keeping going.
Yeah. So I wanted to share about like the wins that we're seeing people have, right?
Yeah.
We're having so many people come in and sometimes they're accomplishing what they set out to accomplish, right? Like, here's my intention, and then it happens. But we're also seeing people have results that they're surprised that they're getting, like a new level of happiness, right?
Cool.
Or like what have you seen? What has been your favorite noticings of people are
Um,
making?
let me see. I'm just kind of thrown because I missed like the last 5 minutes of what you're talking about, and I was in the middle of something. I want to answer this, but then I want to circle back.
Okay.
Are
Yeah.
you're not talking about today anymore? You're talking about creator's journey in general?
Just in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in general.
I mean, I'm seeing people wake up to the power of the realization that they're creating everything and like the power of living that question, how am I creating this?
Yeah.
Right? And it's
Yeah.
like, holy shit. Like, the coolest thing is when people are like, I was brushing my teeth and thinking about this thing that was frustrating me. And I was like, I realized how am I creating this? And I just felt all this like sense of relief and power. And I was
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
it's like I love the while I'm brushing my teeth stories.
Yes.
Where it just pops into your mind. It's like, yeah, that's the point. It's like it's like a new way of operating in the world, and you start metabolizing reality differently. And it gives you new choice. Like, and it just, I like that's the thing that I love the most is when things pop into a person's awareness. When they're not trying to do it, it just happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but can we go back to where I got cut off? I'm not going to go down the steps this time, but like where I was, what I was about to say, or in this idea of like being there and then leaving so that people can
Right.
talk
Right.
about what they experienced in the conversation. I
Yes.
have a former client, Lisa, who I've shown up a few times for her coaching school, and I've coached her. And then at the end, I've not coached her, I've coached people in her school. And at the end, she has kind of did a breakdown for them, like on like kind of like a sports replay, like they do an instant replay, and like the sports newscaster is like
Yeah.
they used to be like in a pro football player or whatever, and then like doing a breakdown of what they saw happen. And
Yeah.
she does that, and I'm always like, damn, that's cool. It makes me sound really great, and like got all these skills or something. And so I just thought that was a beautiful way of creating more and creating possibility, because there's going to be things that people see me do that I didn't even realize I was doing, and they're
Totally.
creating that. They think they're
Yeah.
talking about me, but they're actually talking about themselves, and they're creating themselves, and they're creating new possibility because I did something random or by accident, and they're like they created value from it. Now it's a thing that lives in them.
Yeah.
And then the other reason is something that I've experienced very much in my own looking for something in another person that I admire or I project a capacity onto, and it's like, and I want to be around them in their mastery, and I seek to emulate them, and I'm seeing stuff they're doing that they don't know what it is, and
Yeah.
they don't even realize they're doing it, or maybe it's an unconscious competence, or maybe it was just a random event that happened, but because I'm so committed to the access of that mastery, I'm making stuff up and I'm creating
Yeah.
ways of being and value for myself in that dynamic, and I'm generating more value that way. And so that's why I wanted the structure there. And now I've found that like me not being there is actually a really important part of it. In fact, when we have our guest master creators come, it's important that they aren't there either for that feedback,
Right.
because I want there to be a space where we can talk about the person without them present, just to really allow us to be free to kind of reflect on them in their absence and to speak openly about it without concern about what they might think if we say it that way.
Totally.
And so it's a kind of an interesting structure that we've created that I think serves a real powerful function
It
in the
does.
work.
It
Yeah.
does in the work.
And then I always call you after. I'm like, what did they say? What happened? You gotta
What
tell
did they
me.
say?
How did it
You
go?
couldn't
How
watch
did it
the
go? Not
replay,
like what
but
did they say about me, but I'm just curious to hear what was created. So what were you sharing today? Because
what
I
were we
waited to
sharing
ask you
today?
that question. I haven't asked you yet. I don't know, and I want to know, and you're
You
going to tell
don't
me, I hope.
know.
But
Well, I want a presence for people. We had two really amazing conversations. The first one was with someone who was noticing how they could inquiry into themselves and access God, right? Answers that and wisdom. And the other conversation was, gosh, most of our sharing circle is about the second conversation with someone who was hating their anger, right? They
yeah,
were
anger at
experiencing
kids.
anger at kids, right? Like which
Yeah,
you and I can both so relate to. The
yeah,
experience of wanting to show up really powerfully for your kids or really lovingly in this really ideal way. And so they were um, being present with themselves. And so the being that we described, we talk about the insights that we got from, we could relate so much to every conversation that you have with people. But today there were moments when you and this another amazing person are standing there with your eyes closed, going through self-inquiry, question by question, and answering it, right? And
Mm,
like
mm,
everyone felt like they were just in it with you two, right? Some
mm,
other people closed
mm.
their eyes and they were like, wow, like JP went through, like you tapped into how you are in that moment and what you would
Yeah,
walk yourself through. Like you're in it
yeah,
with the person. This is not
yeah.
just like you asking a person to like get inside their brain and figure out how they work. Like, no, no, no. We're going to do this
No,
shift right now together,
yeah.
all of us, right? JP, this other person, and the whole group sat there in self inquiry and listened for answers, right? From our little child selves, right? Um, and
Yes.
I had them describe the being, and they're like, how do you describe being? And I'm like, well, you use the same words that you use for other stuff, but you describe it. I was like, how was he being? Was he being disconnected? Was he being right? And then in the chat, all these beautiful words come in. He was being open. And that I saw how that gave people access to having those same conversations in their own lives,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm.
Like by there's
Yeah.
something about describing the being of the people that are having them that gives you access to
Yes.
having that being in those same
Of course.
conversations.
I
Yeah.
love that. Of course it does. I mean, like one of the things that I know from what I've read in psychology is that like kids who grow up in an environment where there's conversations about the emotions that they're having
Yep.
have a higher emotional intelligence. Like if you like my mom, I remember her holding me in in the rocking chair from like well, probably since I was a baby, but I can remember as a young kid, whenever I was upset, she'd hold me and she'd rock me to say, "What are you feeling?" And she would
Yeah.
like teach me, "Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling angry?" And she
Yeah.
like gave me words. And as I got older, that vocabulary became more nuanced, and I hold that as like foundational to my like capacity to feel with nuance and subtlety. Whereas, you know, up in my other and like or just no conversation about what you're feeling. Like
Right.
fuck feelings.
It's
Feelings
not.
don't matter.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you don't without the vocabulary. Like, it's not like there is no experience without the vocabulary, but the vocabulary certainly adds color to it, but it's also an access point to it, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
It's like that thing, maybe you've heard that like, this people can't see a certain color until they have a name
Yep. Yep.
for it. The more names you have for blue, the more
Right.
blue shades you can see. Like our meaning making system is interdependent with our sensory experience.
Yeah.
Inwardly and outwardly in the world. And so I love that point that like by challenging yourself to give language to being, you make being more accessible to you. Being
Yeah.
something in particular more accessible
Yeah.
to you. That's yeah, beautiful, spot on.
Yeah.
Um, for me, that first conversation was powerful too. I was really moved by both, but like in that first conversation, as soon as a person starts sharing with me like something that they don't feel they have the resource to do, my
Yeah.
go-to is always like, there is a place in your life already that you're really fucking good at this. So let's find
Mm-hmm.
that. And we found that. We found that where this person was trusting God, trusting spirit to guide them.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's all they needed in this other
Scoot it
situation. And so
over.
like
Scoot it
we
over. Yeah.
activated it and then presence like just represent it metaphorically first, then make it more and more literal. And it's like, holy shit, I could fucking do this. I know how to
Yeah.
do this all day long.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful way of giving a person power without having to give them something new.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I'm here. Yeah. Yeah. I have to go in just a minute. But the thing I wanted to presence at the end after peer support, people will come back and say hello. You're bouncing.
Yeah. I'm on my trampoline. Okay.
Where'd he go? So someone came and I
Yeah.
wanted to tell you this. The last thing I wanted to tell you is that he came and he says, now this is a person who's way into the curriculum and showing up big in every way, right? Waking up in the middle
Mhm.
of the night to come to the calls. And he says, the part that he was surprised. I remember at first he was like, I'm upset that JP's not gonna be on every call because sometimes there's gonna be a guest and I always want JP there. And now he's like, my favorite part is peer support because
Yeah.
everybody here is so wise and insightful. And like even most of them are skilled coaches. And he gets to
Yeah.
create a relationship with a new, deep, wise, and loving person every single time he comes to a call. And to have that be presence as his favorite part, right? Even after you're on, and then after I'm on, and then he gets to talk with the other participants. Oh, JP's gone. Anyway, We popped in to celebrate what an amazing time we've been having, and to invite you, if you'd like to come learn more about it, to have a call with me. I'll put the link below. You can check out the page that we wrote all the information on, and we'd love to have some newbies, some new blood come in for the new year. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, if you'd love to become fluent in the creating perspective so that you can have the relationships and the business and just the way of being in life that would feel the most free, loving, and powerful to you, let's talk. You're invited. It's like the best time ever. So thanks for hanging, even in and out with Jay. JP's been in and out. I'm off to another call. Have a great day.